The dust of Stalingrad did not taste like earth. It tasted like history being pulverized. It was a gritty, alkaline powder composed of crushed brick, shattered concrete, burnt timber, and the dried blood of 1,000,000 men. Sergeant Nikolai Volkov tasted it in his sleep, felt it grinding between his molars, and wiped it from the lenses of his binoculars every 3 minutes. It was October 14th, 1942. The Rat War, Rattenkrieg. As the Germans called, it was in its most ferocious phase. Nikolai was a radio operator for the 62nd Army. Entrenched in the basement of a ruined department store specifically chosen because its thick, reinforced concrete ceiling could withstand anything short of a direct hit from a Luftwaffe 1,000-kilogram bomb. His world was a dimly lit, damp box smelling of unwashed bodies, Machorka tobacco, and the acrid, metallic tang of ozone from the radio sets. Nikolai's normal was a state of subterranean existence that would have driven a civilian insane in hours. He lived by the rhythm of the Volga River crossings. During the day, the river was a shooting gallery for German Stukas. At night, it was a frantic, churning highway of barges bringing ammunition and fresh meat conscripted soldiers sent to the grinder and taking the wounded out. Nikolai's job was to be the voice of the grinder. He took the panicked screams of the forward units, the men fighting for a single room in a factory, or a landing on a staircase, and translated them into neat, coded log entries for the high command across the river. He sat hunched over his R-13 transmitter, the headset pressing painfully against ears that had long ago stopped ringing and just settled into a permanent, dull ache. Beside him, Commissar Benin was peeling a potato with a bayonet, the peelings falling onto a map of the city that was already outdated by the hour. Benin was a man of iron conviction and zero imagination, a dangerous combination in a city where reality shifted with the wind. Signal check, Volkov. Benin grunted, not looking up. Sector 4 is quiet. Comrade Commissar. Too quiet. Sector 9, the tractor factory is screaming for 76mm shells. And the grain elevator. Nothing since 4 o'clock. The grain elevator stands, Benin said automatically. The 92nd Brigade holds. It is written in the morning report. Nikolai didn't argue. In Stalingrad, what was written in the report was truth, even if the building in question was a smoking crater. This was the machinery of survival. Maintain the illusion of control so the supply lines kept moving. If command thought a sector was lost, they stopped sending ammo. If they stopped sending ammo, the men died. So, the radio operators often ghosted the dead, pretending units were still fighting to buy time for the living on their flanks. Outside, a rattle of trucks on frozen mud was non-existent here. There were no trucks on this side of the river. Only the clanking of T-34 tanks churning through the rubble and the constant, rhythmic thump-thump-thump of the German Nebelwerfer rockets, the screaming mimes. The sound was a psychological weapon, a rising shriek that tore at the nerves before the explosions shattered the masonry. The disturbance arrived at 2:00. It wasn't a scream or an explosion. It was a message. The radio crackled to life on a frequency reserved for the forward observation posts of the Red October steel plant. The signal was strong, unusually clear for a set running on dying batteries in a basement surrounded by interfering steel girders. Volga base. Oh, this is Red October forward. Come in. Over. Nikolai pressed the headphones tighter. Red October forward. This is Volga base. Identify your signal is drifting. This is Lieutenant Kogan. We have pushed back the fascists from Hall 4. We have secured the casting floor. But we are dry. We need 7.62 millimeters and grenades. We have a clear drop zone in the courtyard. Coordinates Sisher Sith, north. Request immediate resupply by the PO2 south. Over. Nikolai grabbed his pencil. A victory. Pushed back from Hall 4? That was massive. Hall 4 controlled the main approach to the river in that sector. If Kogan had taken it back, it opened a lifeline for the entire northern flank. Benin stood up, his eyes gleaming. Kogan, I knew he was a good communist. He has retaken the casting floor. This goes to Army HQ immediately. We must authorize the airdrop. Nikolai hesitated. His hand hovered over the logbook. What are you waiting for, Sergeant? Benin snapped, Comrade Commissar. The voice. It's ... clear. So? He has a good radio. No, Nikolai whispered, tuning the dial slightly. I mean the cadence. The rhythm. Lieutenant Kogan. I've listened to him for 3 weeks. He stammers when he's stressed. He taps the microphone twice before he speaks. It's a nervous tick. This operator? He's smooth. Perfect Russian, yes. But ... mechanical. And the signal strength that's too high for a portable set inside a steel factory. Are you accusing a hero of the Soviet Union of being an imposter because he doesn't stammer? Benin's voice dropped to that dangerous, quiet register that usually preceded a pistol being drawn. I'm saying, it might not be Kogan. It might be a Fritzen trick. If we send the PO-2 biplanes to that courtyard and the Germans hold it, ... And if we don't send them and Kogan is bleeding to death with empty rifles, we are traitors, Benin finished. The order stands. Verify the coordinates and relay the request. This was the precise, factual disturbance. A coded message that shouldn't exist in that format, carrying news that was too good to be true, delivered with a technical perfection that felt alien to the chaotic. Desperate reality of the siege, Nikolai typed out the relay message. But as he did, he felt a cold knot in his stomach. The coordinates 44 north. He pulled the tactical map closer. He traced the lines. 44 north was the courtyard, yes. But 3 hours ago, he had intercepted a German transmission on the open frequencia. Panzer commander calling for a refuel. The coordinates for the refuel were Sector 43 north. Sector 43 was adjacent to 44. If the Germans were refueling tanks in 43, they were parked right next to Hall 4. If Kogan held Hall 4, there would be a firefight. You don't refuel tanks in the middle of a battle. The silence from Sector 43 meant the Germans felt safe there, which meant Hall 4 wasn't retaken. It was a trap. Nikolai looked at Benin. The commissar was already on the field telephone to the airfield across the river, shouting for the night witches, the female pilots who flew the slow, canvas-winged PO-2 biplanes to load up. Commissar, Nikolai said, standing up. I have proof. The German refuel order from 23 o'clock. It places armor in the adjacent sector. Quiet armor. If Kogan was fighting, those tanks would be shooting. Benin covered the mouthpiece. The Germans lie on the radio to Volkov. Maybe they are trying to trick us into thinking they are strong. Kogan is our man. He requested the drop. We send the drop. The order was sent. The convoy of planes was launched. Nikolai sat back down. He felt the crushing weight of the machinery of survival turning against itself. The instability of human judgment, Benin's desperate need for a victory. His own inability to prove the negative was about to cost lives. He put his headset back on. He tuned to the German frequency. He listened, silence, just the static of the winter night. 20 minutes later, he heard the faint, buzzing drone of the PO-2S approaching from the east. They were quiet planes, designed to glide in over the trenches and drop light bombs or supplies. They were hard to hit, but very flammable. They are coming, Benin said, looking at his watch with satisfaction. Kogan will have his bullets. Nikolai listened to the German frequency. Still silence. Then a single word, spoken in German, calm and precise. Jets. No. Through the thick concrete of the basement ceiling, Nikolai felt the vibration before he heard the sound. It wasn't the thump of rockets. It was the rapid, tearing shred of quad 20mm anti-aircraft guns opening up. Flakvierling, the German four-barreled guns. They fired 800 rounds a minute. The sound was a continuous roar, like a chainsaw ripping through the sky. Nikolai closed his eyes. He could see it. The slow canvas biplanes gliding into the dark courtyard of the Red October plant, thinking they were meeting friends. And then, the searchlights snapping on, the trap springing. The Germans hadn't just captured the radio. They had set up a kill zone. On the radio, the Kogan frequency suddenly came alive. But it wasn't a request for ammo. It was laughter. Harsh, metallic laughter. And then, in perfect Russian, "Thank you for the firewood, Ivan." The PO2 South were burning. Benin dropped the telephone receiver. His face went ashen. He looked at the map, at the peeling potato skins, at everything but Nikolai. The Germans, ... Benin whispered. They mimicked the code. They mimicked the hope, Nikolai said. His voice flat. He walked to the ventilation slit. A narrow gap near the ceiling that looked out toward the factory district. He watched the horizon burning red and thought it was dawn until he realized the sun was still hours away. The red glow was the burning wreckage of the supply planes falling into the courtyard of the Red October plant. The Kogan unit was dead. They had been dead for hours. The radio operator, the real one, had likely been tortured for the codes. Or the Germans had simply listened long enough to learn the procedure. The disturbance had passed. The outcome was absolute. The supplies were gone. The pilots were dead. The sector was confirmed lost, but the war didn't stop. The phone rang again. It was Command HQ. Volga Base, report status of drop. The voice demanded. Benin picked up the phone. His hand was shaking. Picked up the phone. His hand was shaking.